puts me in a role where I'm dealing with all the high school coaches, any players that are coming up, 7-on-7 coaches and things like that. Just keep making sure our head coach's name is to the streets, and when kids pop.
Can you hear me? I
Yeah,
think you're
I'm sorry.
recording. Okay, there you go. Your recording went down a little bit. Can you say that last part again?
Yeah, so I'm in charge of the state of Virginia and also Charlotte, dealing with the high school coaches and 7-on-7 and anybody that has a tie to any kids that are potential Power Five kids.
Okay, cool. Talk about, what type of kids you guys are looking for. I think I know Coach Pratt pretty well, coming from my alma mater, spending the last, 8, 9 years with Franklin over at in State College. So what kind of kids are you guys looking for? Because I think a lot of times people, just think because they talented enough that they can go somewhere and play. I mean, certain programs looking for certain types of kids.
We're just looking for football players with length, size, a lot of different measurables, just depending on the position. I think that's the biggest thing. Being coming from high school and being in it now, just because the kids play well in high school doesn't make them Power Five kids. So it's been an adjustment for me, but we're pretty much looking for guys with good length, good size, come from good homes, good grades, and great character.
I think character is one of the big things that, we focus on. I think a lot of times the kids think, and their parents think, all right, they can play, right? But I
Yeah,
think most of the time, okay, are you doing everything you can do off the field in school to be able to get on the field, right? And I think that's a big part of it that a lot of people, especially the families and the kids, they want to play, that they miss out on, right? So talk about the importance of school and finishing strong in college. I mean, in high school and starting strong, right? In the ninth grade. And just making sure you have those grades, when it's
that's the
time to
biggest
come.
thing. That's the biggest thing. As a high school football coach that I try to get across to my kids, and now that I'm in college, we only spend, well, not we, but the coaches only spend a certain amount of hours a day with the kids that they're regulated to. So those other hours, they have to be mature enough to handle themselves
Right.
and do things the right way without putting their name, the coach name, and the university name in jeopardy. So what they're doing in high school now as a ninth grader on up through their senior year is real important, from behaviors, grades, because you got to go to class, you got to make sure you're eligible, uh, making sure our APR rate is high. And I think a lot of parents miss out on that because the colleges are held to a standard when it comes to APR. If you fall below APR, you could potentially lose scholarships, you can lose bowl eligibility, and things like that. So there's a lot of things that go into recruiting than just on the field actions, and stats and things like that. The main stats are you not in trouble? How many times you've been suspended? What's your grade point average look like? What kind of classes are you taking? Are you taking AP classes, honor classes, and things like that? Because a lot of those things are telltale signs. Can he learn what we're doing defensively and offensively? And it's not math; it's more or less can he retain information, type of deal. So if you're passing your classes, that helps the coaches, kind of judge you and say, hey, this
Right.
kid can retain the information. He can play for us.
Right. And I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of people just think, oh, he can play. So, put him on the field. Right. But I think, a lot of, especially the parents, right. Cause it's their kids. Right. And,
No question.
they want their kid on the field. And I think a lot of times parents not being honest with themselves a lot of times, especially coming in high school, are your kids doing the right things? Are they doing everything they're supposed to do? Right. So, I mean, that's the hard part. The easy part, I think a lot of times is getting on the field and play. Right.
No
For a
question.
lot of those kids. And that's a big thing too. What you just mentioned about being able to pick up and learn stuff and transition because, the speed of the game, you might practice all week, a particular scheme, a particular way. When you get on the field, the first series, they didn't changed up everything they done. It was doing in the
Yeah.
past. So now you got to change up on the run and you got to be
Yep.
able to learn it quick and you got to keep it moving. Right. So,
Yep.
I totally agree. Totally agree with you on that one. College football is changing a lot. and you got NIL, you got this transfer portal. Elaborate a little bit on the NIL and how you guys are utilizing NIL.
The thing about the NIL now, it's kind of like NFL free
Right,
agency.
free agency, right?
Combine that with
Right,
the portal, uh, and I think everybody's being competitive, like right along with us. You try to do things the right way,
right,
and that's what we hang our hat on, doing things the right way. Whether we get kids or not, we can do things the right way. So that's refreshing with being here, that we're not out here doing things behind closed doors and things
correct.
like that. So I mean that's the only thing I probably could say is that we're going to be competitive with everybody, but we're going to make sure we do things the right way when it comes to the NIL deal.
Correct. I mean, being at Virginia Tech, you being a Virginia guy, there's a lot of tradition, in Virginia Tech,
So,
and a lot of big alumni. You're talking about Michael Vick, Drunken Miller, and a lot of those guys that played there in the past, Keith Burnell, Sharon Stiff, we can name a few, right, from our areas,
yes, sir.
alone in the Hampton Roads area, right? Tony Morrison. So how important is recruiting in the 757 for you guys?
It's very important, man. Like you just touched on, the guys that come from the area. You named off Michael Vick, D'Angelo Hall, James Anderson, Tony Morrison, back Xavier DB,
Mm-hmm.
Nathaniel DB, Sharon Stiff, Darrell Roberts. There's been a lot of guys, man. Back when Virginia Tech was on the roll, most of the team consisted of 757, 804 guys, mixed in, sprinkling in, some Florida kids and some Northern Virginia kids and things like that. But they dominated the state when it came to recruiting. And we're trying to get back to that. I'm trying to get back to that, and trying to get the 757 kids to understand that they don't have to go all the way across the country to play good football to get a chance, to get yourself a chance to go to the NFL.
Right. I agree. And I agree when I came out, and, I ended up going to Penn State, but, Virginia Tech was very competitive, right?
Yep,
They was nationally ranked top 25 every year. And it'll be, exciting to see them to get back there, right? I
yep,
think for the state of Virginia and for college football itself, it's exciting, when you look in and you see Virginia Tech,
no,
competing
definitely.
at the highest levels. This transfer portal. You hit a little bit about free agency and how the NIL almost making it seem like it's free agency. The transfer portal is the same. How you feel? Elaborate a little bit about transfer portal.
Transfer portal, man, has changed the landscape of college football.
Right.
Not just for Power Five, even the smaller schools. Because if you have a player that's pretty good on the smaller level, they end up leaving, going to a bigger level.
Right.
So your recruitment has to change somewhat, I guess. But I think it's still on a trial run because I don't know how you regulate it. For the most part, I know the NFL has a cap on how much each team can spend
Mhm.
on their roster. Uh, so I'm not for sure, man. But it's tough. It's tough because now it changes coaching as well. Because now kids feel like if they don't like anything, they can get in the portal. And the sad part is, I think we lost the education part of it in the whole transfer portal deal because they make it about football and not about getting an education, getting a degree. You jump in the portal and say nobody takes you. Now you just say you leave, let's just say Kent State for, and you've been there a year and a half, and then you leave, and then you don't pick up an offer. Now you're stuck in the portal, and you just gave away 2.5 years of getting a meaningful degree where you can earn a living later on in life. I think a lot of people lose sight of that, and it's all about football. I know if I had a kid, it's just like, nah, you can stay. You can stay when you finish, unless you're just a dominant football player and it's your best interest to get in the portal because you're looking for a different opportunity. But some of these kids are jumping in, man, and it's either because they're not doing what they're supposed to do or they're not as good as they thought they were.
I totally agree. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about this and the education piece. I think that's probably the biggest part of it, right? You can probably see a lot of kids now that don't have a degree, that go
Yeah.
to school, they transfer, they don't finish, they don't get in, right?
Yeah.
I know a part of it for me is like the transfer portal is kind of like what you're saying. Like everybody, when you get to you get to college, everybody think they good, right?
Yeah.
So I know I went through it too. Like, I want to leave. Like, I ain't playing as much as I want to play. I'm gonna leave. And I feel like it allows kids to quit, right?
No question.
And you don't get in there, you don't build character, you don't get in, just stay at the school and fight for the position. And eventually when you take over the position, you're going to be pushed, right? You're going to be better,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you get there and you get to Penn State or Virginia Tech, and you got people in that position that's going to push you to get better. And most of the time in high school, you the best thing on the field, right?
No
So
question.
you're going to get what you want when you want it.
Yep.
And when you get to college, it's different. And a lot of
Yeah.
times I think that's the big thing. That's the thing I don't like about it.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing and I think it's getting lost in high school as well because kids are transferring from high schools too
Right.
and leave this school, go to that school.
Right.
So the lost work and going through some type of adversity is getting lost. And kids are graduating or going off into the world without no coping skills. You know what I mean? Like life is hard. Even when you got a degree, life is hard. So what are you gonna do? Quit? And I used to
Right.
have that conversation with my kids, man, in high school. It's just like you gonna quit, you gonna transfer. What's gonna happen when you have a child and things ain't going right? What you gonna do? Leave? And now
Right.
your son grow up without a father, or your daughter grow up without a father. Those are the type of conversations that I will have with my kids. It's bigger than just football because once you start something, you need to finish it. You need to
Right.
finish it,
Right.
and don't just try to find some grass on the green on the other side because it ain't always green. It ain't always green.
Right. And then I think they get over there and they realize that, but it's too late.
Yes.
Right. So,
No question.
And I think we see that a lot right now in college football with the transfer portal. The kids know I can just get up and go. Right.
Oh
Like
man,
if
and
it
they
ain't
don't have to
work,
work.
right. And they want the instant gratification. And like you said, I think sometimes they think they're better than what they are. They don't understand that they need to put in the work.
Yeah.
Because that finished product you see, D'Angelo Hall or somebody like that that was work. Right? That took work.
Yeah.
That wasn't just work, walking on campus, stepping in that spot and shining. You might have been there early on playing some, not as much as you wanted to play, but you were still getting a lot of valuable experience while you was playing. So, I think for me, I think that's kind of one of the big things that I feel like we're missing, building the character part of it and, just building character, right? Because when you out on that football field, you got 10 other people beside you. You want to be comfortable and secure, to who around you. And know you can look to your right and left and they're going to be balling and know what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, because you depending on them, they depend on you.
Right.
So
Right.
it's all a part of life. You have to tell you if football and you play ball.
Right.
Football is the only sport that is equivalent to life for the most part. You go through
Right.
some adversity, you do some things that you don't want to do. You might not
Right.
like it, but you gotta wake up every morning and grind. You gotta
Right.
wake up every morning and grind.
You got to. And Joe was tough on us at Penn State, right? So it was kind of a situation where he didn't really care about football. Like, look, if you're not doing everything on between Monday and Friday in school and as a good person, you're not gonna play. And I don't care who it is. I don't care what all American status you got. You're not gonna play. So you got to be able to, you got to do everything because he always told us, I'm not preparing everybody to play football because there's only 4% of you in this room that's going to be able to play at the next level. I'm preparing you for life afterwards, corporate America. And believe it or not, like you guys don't understand, you are going to be judged, like period. As soon as you walk in, they're going to look at you and they're going to judge you. So, I want to prepare you guys for life after football and to understand the importance of, just being a good person in society. Right. So, Coach Pryor, how you feel about Coach Pryor? You spent a lot of time with him. I know him spent some time with him in State College. Good dude. I think when I came out of high school, he was actually with, Virginia Tech at the time, as a GA.
As a GA, yep.
Right.
But no, he's a great guy, man. before I came here, I had a pleasure of talking to him when we was going through the process. And one thing that made me feel comfortable with coming, because you know how volatile college football is. You can be there one year, not the next.
Right.
It was more or less, his vision and him being genuine. He's the same person every day.
Right.
He's the same person every day. And when a person like that is the same person every day, there's a certain type of trust factor that comes with that. It comes with that. And he values my opinion when it comes to the state of Virginia and things like that. So it's been great, man. Like I said, he takes care of his staff. He makes it. We're not working, from 7 in the morning until midnight at night. He's a family oriented guy, so he makes sure everybody goes home to see their family. And there's been times where he'll walk in and be like, "Go home," type of deal. So it's not hard to work for somebody like that. And I've been in college football prior to this at Hampton, so it's totally different. The vibe of the building is totally different. Daily operations is different. So it's been a great experience.
Good. Good. Like I said, I spent time with him, so no, he's a good dude.
Yeah,
Got those state college ties, so I love him. So I think he's a good guy. I thought he was a good hire for you guys for
yeah,
Virginia
well, he
Tech as
fits.
well.
He
Right.
definitely fits.
Right. Speaking of Hampton, HBCUs, how did Dion with the whole Jackson State University thing? How did you look at the transition? Because Dion getting a lot of slack from
He is.
Black Twitter, right?
No, he is.
He getting a lot of slack from Black Twitter. So how do you look at that? How do you feel about it?
Uh, I mean, we all in this thing to, like you said, elevate. And I mean, just because he elevated from a HBCU, and I think his overall star status is the big issue. Because if he wasn't a star and he left, nobody would have said a word.
Right.
But his influence and things like that, and his platform kind of was a gift and a curse for him. But people on the outside looking in, they don't know what went on behind closed doors. They don't. And Dion knows what happened. Jackson State knows what happened. And if anything bad happened, because I really don't know, but if anything bad happened and Dion didn't come out and air them out about it, give that man his kudos. Because he really, literally, if it did, he could have aired them out in public, but he didn't. He kept it under wraps. So he is doing something right with the whole situation. But just being in the HBCU before, and the time I loved it there, but it's different. I'm gonna just say that it's different.
Right.
It's different.
Right.
It's different, and it's tough, man. That our kids, football is predominantly black, and we want kids to go to HBCUs, but it's tough. It's tough to send your kids to HBCUs when they can go to the Alabamas and they get all the gear. Uh, they eat 3 square meals a day. They get the proper nutrition and things
Right.
like that.
Right.
So it's different, and I don't think people really understand that unless they were actually in it.
Right. Right. And from everything I've read, he did everything he set out to do. Right.
Yes, sir. Yep.
When he got there, it was no different than the high school. If it rained, they couldn't practice. Right. He got
Yeah.
an indoor practice facility built.
Yep.
The new stadium or revised the new stadium. Right.
Yep.
I heard it was a lot of corporate sponsorship that he kind of went in and revamped.
Had an
He felt
ESPN
like they
deal
should be
from what I
getting more
heard.
money. Huh?
I said he had an ESPN deal from what I heard, and they I guess they kind of turned it down. Just they kind of turned it
They
down.
turned it down. Yeah, I heard that
Yeah.
too. Walmart. He got Walmart to come in. Walmart came in and spent some money. I think they was the one that did the stadium and the practice facilities, if I'm not mistaken. It was a lot of stuff, even with the water situation in Jackson at the time. I heard yesterday a lot of money he spent out his pocket
Pocket
to feed the team.
the team. Yeah,
Right.
pregame meals. Yeah,
Right. Right. So I mean, I think he did. I
and
think
it ain't
Jackson's.
coat. It ain't cheap.
Right, right.
It
And you
ain't cheap.
got 60 19 but 22-year-olds that could
Coach,
eat.
in some instances, it's 100. Because if it's a home
Right,
game, the guys that don't travel, they eat too.
right, right,
So
right.
it's a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
It's a lot of
and I
money.
think Jackson State got just as much out of it as Dion did, right?
They did.
And I think one of their biggest alumni is a guy that I played with in Jacksonville, Jimmy Smith, and Jimmy is one of Dion's biggest advocates. And he was like, "Look, Dion did everything he's supposed to do. I'm a believer, and I think he did a great job, and it's just, that's coaching, right? That's corporate America. That's coaching, right? You're in a position that you're going to take for a short period of time, until you get the dream job that you want. So I think, people being unrealistic, but
They are.
yeah,
And I mean, if they was in your situation, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether it's a corporate, like you say you're an assistant AD or you're an athletic director at Jackson State, and you've done a great job of turning around all the sports programs, and then Colorado came, asking for you,
right,
you would take it. If you're making 250 grand, that man he has a whole family to take care of. And I think if
right,
people forget that
right.
$1 million he made in the NFL don't last long.
Correct. Correct. It
Don't
was
last
funny,
long.
man, because I was talking to some friends the other day. Like, I think we as black people are hard on each other, right?
We are.
And it's black Twitter that's really been the advocates of, oh, he's a traitor, right? Like, it's called sports, right? They do it every day. Like, when you see like a Nick Saban or a Brian Kelly jump up and go somewhere, or Lane Kiffin, nobody say anything, right?
No.
So why are we jumping and criticize Dion as soon as he do it? So I think, like you said, I think his stardom is a gift, and a curse.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. So I appreciate for having you, man. Thanks for spending time with us today.
No, definitely appreciate it.
Looking forward to seeing you guys in the next couple of years, get that program back to where it was at. Anything you need from me, just let me know. You always can
Definitely.
call me.
Definitely. I appreciate you, boss.
All right, boss. Appreciate it, man.
I know.
All right.